Good evening. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a heck of a time during Shabbat, just relaxing. I've been, as usual, keeping a close eye on different things going on around the world, and I'm telling you, things are not looking really good, especially when it comes to conflict, the tensions with Russia. And there are actually movements that are starting to be made that I think are something we need to pay close attention to. And likewise, I will remind you that, and I have no problem reminding you of this, that our current president is the least liked president, I believe, in the history of this country. So when you mix that into everything, he really needs a distraction. And, he needs a distraction from not only his failed administration, but he needs a distraction from pretty much his existence. So, here we are. And the best way to cause such a distraction is war. And let's face it, when Trump pulled out of the Middle East, arranged it to be done, and of course Biden just absolutely, destroyed any type of decent exit we could have had. That left a lot of individuals that liked the money that they made from a 20-year war. It left them without all that income. So I think there is a number of reasons why the United States actually wants conflict. And again, saber rattling and the countries going back and forth, that's nothing new. That's been going on for as long as I've been alive. But again, there are actually movements being made that are concerning. And it's in the headlines that Canada has actually put out an advisory to its citizens on traveling to Ukraine because of the tensions. I think it's, and it's in the headlines, I think it's Sweden started moving some military equipment. These are things that we need to keep an eye out for, because these are actually things that are taking place. This isn't saber rattling. These are movements being made. Very important to pay close attention to those. I do have quite a bit of news to go over tonight. A lot of craziness. Some of it is kind of from one direction to another, as usual. And I've got a lot of different, like I say, areas that I want to cover. But I wanted to start out, I put out a video, or I didn't put out a video, let me change that. Which reminds me, before I get into this, I got the stuff out to do the energy production video. I've got it out. I was going to get it done today, but procrastination won, and it didn't happen. So I plan to try to get that done tomorrow, and I'll get that video done. Now that will go up on the Dirt Cheap Preps channel, not this channel. Anybody that is unaware of that channel, you can go to the description of this video, and there's a link over to that channel. And so I will do my best to get that video out tomorrow. So I've got all the stuff out, and actually rearranged a little bit in the prepper closet there, and I won't have to fight to get to that particular equipment now. So that's probably a good idea. So anyway, I'll be working on that tomorrow. And but anyway, over the weekend, I shared out a video. I posted it on the whatever. I don't know what do they call it? The hang on. I don't even remember what they call it. The posts or whatever, the community section. I had posted a video from a channel and let me bring this up, called Messages for Our Time. And that's the channel name. And the video was titled, Beware the Smooth Words That Grab the Soul. I think it's a really important video for folks to listen to. I really do. He does a real good job of explaining how to discern between the true followers and, well, the fakes. And I think he did a really, really good job. And on that post, I had stated that I had said let me click on it so I can see. I said I've talked a lot about this lately. Watch out for those who talk a good game, especially on YouTube. Ignore the words and look at the actions. Sometimes you have to look deeper than the surface. They may appear to do good, but in reality are self-serving. One of the best ways to spot this is by the pride they exhibit. If they are not humble, they simply are not of God. And that's a fact. That's a fact. And my biggest concern is that folks are going to be led astray. And man, that's not good. This is not the time for people to be concerned about prophets. And when I say prophets, I don't mean those that predict the future. I mean prophets as in monetary reimbursement, whatever you want to call it. Sadly, that's largely what's going on now. And I think that people are being taken advantage of, and it's really sad. It's disheartening. It's a shame. It is truly a shame what is happening in this country. And with the people in this country, the levels that people will deceive, the levels that people will fake, essentially. And again, this video, I think, really does a good job at explaining how you can discern between the two. So, if you didn't see that post, I know that on PC, like if I'm scrolling through subscriptions, I don't see posts like that. I don't know if it's something with my settings or if that's normal or what. The only time that I see a channel that makes a post is like if I'm scrolling on my phone, which is almost never. So, if you haven't seen that, please, I urge you. I should have put the link down in the description, but I didn't. Anyway, like I say, really good video. Now, I guess we'll get on to some of the news I wanted to cover before we do headlines. I don't have really any other announcements to make as far as we're concerned, other than going to try to get that video out tomorrow. Can't think of really anything else. I am planning on starting some more lettuce here soon, very soon. So there's that, but I don't have it started yet. So I will get that done as soon as I can. We're starting to bump into having enough room issues. And some of the stuff that I have that was occupying the small tent, I can't really put it out in the shed because it can't be in the fluctuating temperatures and stuff. So, got to figure out where I'm going to do with what. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump on over and talk about what I have brought up here. I know that, well, back when this happened, I guess back in December, I covered this in quite a bit of depth. When the tornado came through and it destroyed the Amazon warehouse building in Edwardsville, which is about 25 minute drive away. Apparently now, hang on, I've got breaking news that just popped up. Yikes. Okay. Hang on, let me get this out, because it is important that I cover it. when I go over headlines at least. Anyway, so apparently the family of one of the men that died during that is filing a lawsuit against, I assume, Amazon. And man, I'm telling you, this is going to wind up heartbreaking, and it's frustrating because I just got this feeling that there's an attorney out there that's taking advantage of a family. Because I think that when everything's all boiled down and everything comes out, depositions and whatnot are made, I think some unsettling things are going to be uncovered about what transpired right before that tornado hit. There's obviously a lot of speculation and all that, but one of the things that I've heard a number of times people say is that, well, maybe they didn't know. Maybe it's a big warehouse. Maybe they didn't know. Well, that can't be the case. And the reason why I say that can't be the case is because I know at least two of them had indicated before, obviously, the tornado hit, that they wanted to go home. They wanted to leave, and that they were not allowed to. And they were mad about it. So that, in my opinion, is as much evidence as what you need to that management had talked to them about the situation, and I'm sure that management had told them to go to the designated shelter area. I'm sure. And for whatever reason, they didn't. I do not for a second believe that they were told to continue working. Not for a second. But anyway, I wanted to kind of cover a little bit of about what this says. And we're going to get to talking about North Korea and Russia and all that here in a moment. It says right here, a lawsuit will be filed on behalf of the family of Austin Mcewen Monday. Attorneys announced Sunday afternoon. Mcewen drove for the company contracted out by Amazon for deliveries. The lawsuit alleges that Amazon management knew conditions were unsafe as tornado warnings had been issued, but required employees to keep working instead of having them evacuate. I do not believe for a second that that is true. And again, the reason why I say that is because these employees, or not all of them, but I mean there was at least a couple of the employees that wanted to go home, and they were denied. And I'm sure that the management didn't say, no, you keep working, and at the same time tell everybody else in the place to go seek shelter. I don't believe that for a second. But anyway, let's continue on. It says, the lawsuit also alleges the warehouse had no basement, even though it is in an area prone to tornadoes. The family also accuses the company of having an inadequate safety plan. Oh, yeah? Well, it would seem that every single person that listened to management and went to the designated shelter area survived. In my opinion, they really have no case here. Of course, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, not giving any type of legal advice, but, just looking at this from the surface, I don't think that they have anything to stand on. And what bothers me is, like I say, I have a feeling that there's an attorney that's trying to fleece a family and not being real straight with them about it. Because you have to understand, okay, when you call an attorney, okay, and if they think that they're in any way going to make money on that, whether or not they think you'll win or not, they're going to be the used car salesman, right? They're going to talk you into doing it because that's how they make a living. They're a salesman just as much as they are an attorney. And that's true for anything. That's one thing I wish folks would realize. Don't take what people say as the gospel, so to speak. Because if somebody's interested in selling you something, they're obviously going to sell it up. That's exactly what you do. So be very careful of that, especially with lawyers, because they're like the snakiest snakes that there is. And I feel bad because I feel like this family's going to get fleeced out of money. And at the same time, I think what this is going to uncover is going to be an unsettling truth. Because I personally think that at least two, if not more, of the employees that went to the non-designated bathroom were doing so out of defiance. It's just my opinion. I've been the employee before. I've been in management before. I've actually been in a situation to where there was a tornado that hit 2 blocks away from where I worked. And during that time, I was defiant to what the manager said. I watched a big door, a door big enough that a semi-truck could drive through. I watched a big door get ripped off the other side of the building. The only reason I could even seen that door get ripped off is because I did not do what I was told to do. Tornado sirens were going off. We were told to seek shelter in our designated area, and I thought it was a great idea for a snack. And so I went to my lunchbox, which was by my machine, my welding machine. I went to my lunchbox, and I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette and having a snack. And saw the door get ripped right off the building. So I know the attitude because I've been there. And it's a shame. The whole thing's a shame. I don't want to say that any of it is I don't know. I don't want to make light of any of it. But at the same time, we have to accept accountability. And I think that's what's lacking here. So we'll see. We'll see. I have a feeling, though, that it's probably not even going to make it to court. I have a feeling it'll be thrown out. The same happened, I guess it was during after the Joplin tornado went through, I think it was, a Home Depot, which was another, I forget what they call it, a tilt to raise or something building is what they're calling it. However, the Home Depot was one of these type of buildings too, but the judge threw that lawsuit out. And I have a feeling that's going to happen here too, because again, these claims are fruitless here. That there's nothing in the building code requiring a basement. Period. There's nothing in the building code requiring that. And the family, the family accuses them of having an inadequate safety plan. However, all of the employees that listened to management survived. So that's why I'm arguing that. It's, in my opinion, pretty obvious. And I'm not trying to make light of anybody's death here. I would never do that. But I'm a stickler for truth and the facts. And this just, like I say, it seems like an attorney's trying to fleece a family, and that's sad. That's the sad part. So I put out a video about an incident in New York, and a woman was pushed in front of down into the tracks in front of a subway train in New York City, and it killed her. And that just, I don't know, stuff like that just gets me. Well, little did I know that a few hours before that, the same thing was attempted in Brussels. And fortunately, the lady that was shoved in front of this train in Brussels survived. The conductor of the subway was able to stop the train before it hit her, just moments before it hit her. And then bystanders had jumped down to help get her off the track. They did apprehend the guy. So this happened right before, a few hours before the incident in New York City. So on that video that I had posted on Saturday, and I apologize for not remembering who it was, but somebody had posted a link to a video, and I thought this was incredible. Check this out. I really like this idea. I like this idea for a million reasons. Not only would it prevent people from being pushed in front of the subway trains, but it would prevent. I mean, there are people that commit suicide that way, and it would prevent that. It would prevent any type of nefarious activity from individuals that go down into the subway tunnels and stuff like that. I really like this system. Anyway, I wanted to show you. This is in Beijing. Okay, check this out. I love that system, and I think it's a really good answer. And I know there was another comment made, I believe it was Nancy that made the comment that she had been in subways, I believe she said in Chicago, and she said that would be really hard to implement there, and she thought New York it might be hard to implement there. And of course, there's a cost to it. That doesn't come free. But you know, you could have any iteration of this. You could just have a 4-foot wall with doors that automatically open and close, and that would be enough to stop people from being able to be pushed into the tracks. Now, and I closed that tab. Let me show you, because I wanted to show you this too. Let me show you just how quickly that this stuff happens. Let me rewind that. The gentleman, if you want to call him that, is right here. The one that pushes her. So keep an eye on this guy right here. This is how quick this happens. And like I say, fortunately, the subway engineer, conductor, whatever you want to call him, was able to stop this particular train before it ran over the lady. But that was my comment that I was making on that video Saturday, is that there's no way to stop that. It doesn't matter how many officers you have standing down there. That happens in the blink of an eye. And the only way that you're going to put a stop to that, it isn't political grandstanding like the mayor and others were doing in New York, and just trying to raise funds for their programs, which I have no problem with them trying to better, the situation for homeless people, for the mentally ill people, because, man, I'll tell you what, that's what's caused a lot of problems in this country, was the stripping away of the mental health systems and stuff like that this country had. So I'm not arguing that whatsoever, but that's not going to fix the problem. We're going to have to erect some type of barriers or something like that in order to actually fix the problem. And so I wanted to point that out, and I promised that I would show this video on the live show tonight, so that's what I did. Let's see. Okay, now we're to the missile test. Let me I'm going to refresh this in case there's more information. I'm going to grab a sip of coffee here. And the breaking news a moment ago, by the way, was this right here. British counterterrorism police arrest 2 people over Texas synagogue attack. We'll get to that momentarily because I don't even know what the story is there yet. It came out breaking right as we went live. So, yeah, because I got other news. It's not breaking, but I want to get it out so it's there. One moment. And like I said, the news is not slowing down. It's definitely picking back up. So anyways, you see the headlines say Pyongyang test fires suspected ballistic missiles. It says Pyongyang has carried out another suspected missile launch, the South Korean military reported. The reclusive nation has stepped up its missile activity, already firing 2 hypersonic missiles in as many months. 2 alleged North Korean short-range ballistic missiles were launched towards the Sea of Japan, the South Korean military reported on Monday morning. Seoul claims that the projectiles were seemingly fired from a launch site at North Korea's Pyongyang Sunan International Airport. The Japanese Ministry of Defense also identified the projectiles as possible ballistic missiles, while the country's Coast Guard warned vessels to look out for falling objects. The reported missile test comes just several days after Pyongyang claimed to have staged a drill involving 2 railway-borne guided missiles that obliterated their intended targets in the Sea of Japan. In addition to this, North Korea has claimed to have already tested 2 hypersonic missiles since the start of the year, in January and February, respectively. Now, it's not just North Korea that claimed they were hypersonic missiles. That was actually confirmed by South Korea and others, as a matter of fact. I believe the U.S. even confirmed that they were hypersonic missiles. So, you know, I don't know why they kind of make it sound as if that might be a doubtful thing, because it's not. They have the technology, without a doubt. No, not for the billion-dollar man, but they do have the technology. That's concerning. This, however, is becoming even more so concerning. Hang on. Okay. I didn't know what was what. I had to check my tabs. Tanks on European streets due to Russian threat. Yeah. It says Sweden has moved to ramp up security on the largest Baltic Sea island of Gotland with a view to adapting its security strategy to the tense situation on the Russian-Ukrainian border, located some 1,700 kilometers southeast. Residents of the sleepy town of Visby on the Swedish island of Gotland awoke to the sound of heavy military hardware rolling through the streets on Saturday. The Swedish Army's Stridsforden 90 infantry fighting vehicles had arrived overnight to secure the tranquil coastal town and its port. A rapid response tactical unit of the Swedish Armed Forces has been deployed to the island, the military said in a statement on Saturday. A part of the unit was flown in on Friday evening by the U.S. C-17 heavy transport aircraft as part of Sweden's international collaboration program, while the rest arrived by ferry from mainland Sweden. The Swedish military said the effort should be seen as part of Sweden adapting its strategy to the tense situation between Russia and Ukraine, which has been grabbing media headlines for several months. The U.S. and its NATO allies have claimed that Russian troops are set to invade neighboring Ukraine as early as January or February. Moscow has dismissed the statements as fake news. And they claim here that the deployment does not have to mean an increased threat level. The Swedish Army Forces Chief of Operations, Michael Claesson, told the media. Speaking to AP, he also cited allegedly increased Russian activity in the Baltic Sea, which deviates from the normal picture. So, to me, I think either one of those two things are something to look at, whether they're talking about the increased threat on the mainland or whether they're talking about the increased threat in the in the Baltic Sea. So, certainly something to note and keep an eye on. This is a big thing to watch, is military movements. That's huge indicators. When you see them start moving equipment, that's huge indicators. A U.S. official threatens Russia with sharp pain inflicted very fast. Okay, and I'm just going to read you these headlines in order, and this information in order is what it came out. The U.S. has some 18 different scenarios up its sleeve to react to any form of Russian attack on Ukraine. Leading official Victoria Nuland has warned, promising to inflict sharp pain on Moscow should it make such a move. Nuland, who currently serves as Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs in President Joe Biden's government, made the thinly veiled threat in an interview with the Financial Times published on Saturday. It says, I'm not going to preview 18 different scenarios. I would simply say that our commitment and the conversation that we have with our allies is around inflicting very sharp pain very fast if Russia makes this move in any form, Nuland said. Now, mind you, I don't remember what day exactly it was. It might have been over, since we've last spoke, it might have been since Friday. But I do know that there is claimed a false flag attack. And supposedly they're saying that Russia intends to carry out a false flag against its own people as a pretense to invade. Well, I don't believe that for a second. I don't think that's what's happening at all, especially considering that it's come out that we've got CIA training Ukrainian insurgents. So I think if there's a quote-unquote false flag, I think it will be much like the false flag chemical attacks that we've seen happen in Syria and other places, which after a little bit of investigation turns out was most likely actually involving us. So again, I would keep out a close eye on this. There was a cyber attack on Ukraine, and they originally were blaming Belarus for the cyber attack, but then they turned around and changed that and said, oh no, it was Russia. So, and again, that'd be in the headlines too, but it's insane. It truly is insane. I can't believe the level of insanity that is going on. It's nuts. Sorry, I had to check a group I had a notification for. So anyway, moving on. Here's an article here. Kremlin reveals how it will respond to NATO deployments to Ukraine. It says Russia believes it would be madness to start a war over Ukraine, but doesn't rule out taking counteractions to NATO deployments if security negotiations fail and its concerns are left unaddressed, the Kremlin has told CNN. So it's, as you say, or as you see, sorry, if there's not some type of agreement made, it could possibly be the start of something. Says here, Dmitry Peskov, President Vladimir Putin's longtime spokesman, added that Russia is deeply concerned by recent spiraling up of tensions in Europe in an interview broadcast on Sunday. We have too much tension on the border with Ukraine. We have too much tension in this part of Europe. It drags in more problems automatically. It is extremely dangerous for our continent, he told the host of the Fareed Zakaria, I think, GPS show. According to Peskov, the only way forward for the U.S. and NATO is to finally address Russia's concerns in earnest instead of brushing them off. This is the very reason we are insisting on receiving a direct response, he explained, adding that Moscow expected an extremely specific response to its extremely specific proposals. Moscow is not issuing any ultimatums, he maintained, adding that the Kremlin was not speaking about military action and considers a military scenario madness to do that. However, he suggested Moscow would respond to the continued NATO expansions in other ways. Okay, so I get that they're at the same time not threatening, they're absolutely threatening. Okay? And I think what's going to happen is, I think if there's no false flag that we see, I think what's going to happen is there will be an escalating of tensions, possibly from Russia. And I think it will take the form of probably a cyber attack. And I'm going to just be honest there. Probably a cyber attack. It could be sanctions, but, I mean, that's not even worth the paper it's written on in reality. I mean, to me, sanctions are a joke. So I do see them going a different direction than the sanctions. I see them possibly going to cyber attacks or... and I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to be critical infrastructure or anything like that. I don't know. But I do think that it's going to devolve into a back and forth until things get ugly. And I'm probably more concerned about this now than I was even, I would say, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. Like I've told you, situations are fluid. All these situations are fluid. And that's why it's important to kind of keep a close eye on all the different things going on. Because at a moment's notice, something could kick off. And, at one moment, this might be the more concerning thing. Another moment, it might be some type of crazy mandates or something like that is going to be the major concern. And, yeah, I've got concerns about that as well. So, let's see. Actually, I am putting out the broadcast in 1080p. So, James A., it should be 1080p is what I'm putting it out as, unless that changed. But I don't think it did. I don't know. You would have to check, babe. Click the gear on the screen. You have to hover the video. Hover the video. You see a gear. Click it. Click auto. Anyway, let me go ahead and just continue. Yeah, it says auto. You were right on it. I thought I was putting out in 1080p unless my settings changed. Here, hang on, let me look. Yeah, if you click like right now, you'll do what I need you to do. Yeah, I'm putting out in 1080. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I am streaming out in 1080. So, let's see. Let me find out. Okay, I covered this one. Sorry about that. Got a little thrown off there. Okay, so this was what I was telling you about Canadians told to avoid Ukraine. It says here, the Canadian government has warned its citizens against non-essential travel to Ukraine in a new travel advisory citing Russian aggression in the area. The Canadian government changed the risk level for travel to Ukraine on Saturday, citing ongoing Russian aggression and military buildup in and around the country as the reason behind the update. By imploring its citizens to stay clear of Ukraine, Canada follows into the footsteps of its southern neighbor. Washington urged Americans to reconsider travel to Ukraine due to increased threats from Russia in its own travel advisory from December, citing reports that Moscow was planning for significant military action in Ukraine, or against Ukraine. So again, like I was saying, you kind of put the banter back and forth between the countries on the back burner, okay? Because they've been doing that, like I said earlier, for as long as I've been alive. you want to watch the actions. You want to watch what they are doing. And this is one of the things that you kind of want to keep an eye on. Canada is telling its people, hey, you may not want to go over there because it looks like something's going to kick off. This isn't, like a diplomatic type of thing. This isn't the banter. This is actually warning your citizens that, hey, you're doing so at your own risk if you decide to go over there. So that's something to certainly note in what's going on. Okay, I got one more to do here with this situation. Kremlin identifies, let's see. Kremlin identifies red line in NATO-Russia relations. It says NATO's gradual invasion into Ukraine has brought the U.S.-led bloc right to Moscow's red line, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told CNN. He said the situation poses an imminent threat to the European security as a whole. Peskov on Sunday cited the documented Western promises, which he noted have never been fixed in a legally binding way, which kind of sounds like something the U.S. would do, guaranteeing that NATO would not expand further eastwards into the former Soviet bloc. In contrast to these promises, over the past few years, NATO's employed its open-door policy to absorb several countries of the former Warsaw Pact. Moscow is drawing the line on this expansion in Russia's next-door neighbor, Ukraine, Peskov told CNN's Fareed Zakaria, in an interview aired on Sunday as he explained the Kremlin's position in detail. He said, first, there were just words, but with time we have seen the gradual invasion of NATO into Ukrainian territory with its infrastructure, with its instructors, with supplies of defensive and offensive weapons, teaching Ukrainian military, and so on, Peskov said. And that's a fact. That's a known thing. Peskov went on to say that these moves have brought NATO directly to the red line, creating a situation which constitutes a real threat for both Russia and for the whole European security architecture. Russia has a 3,000-kilometer border with Ukraine, which, until the Ukrainian Civil War broke out in 2014, was almost completely unfortified. So, like I said, I don't think that this is just going to go away. I don't think that this is something that they're just going to kind of give up on. I really do have a feeling that we're going to wind up going to war. I really do. I don't know why everything's blurry. You would have to check on your end. I'm showing a good connection to YouTube. And like I said, when she checked a while ago, well, right here I'm showing, I don't know, that's my preview though. So that could be different. Hang on, let me open it up and take a look. Yeah, I'm showing 1080 here. So make sure you check the quality, because I am showing that I am putting out at 1080. So make sure you check the quality setting on whatever device you're on. I know that happens sometimes when I watch other videos. If it's set to auto, for whatever strange reason, it'll come in at a low resolution. And it makes no sense because we've got a really good internet connection. So we've got literally fiber right here. We got fiber right here to the home. So let's see. Real quick, I want to take up. Oh, I didn't know I was bringing you with me, but I guess you're coming with me. Oh, they weren't kidding. I saw it flash on the bottom of my screen that we had snow coming. So, not much, but it looks like a little bit. Anyway, back to the real news. You guys don't care about that. I was like, huh? And now it popped back up at the bottom of my screen. Snow off and on. So anyway, like I said, keep an eye on this. This is a situation that I do think eventually is going to go hot. Again, Biden needs a war. He needs a distraction. And, anytime that not only just the United States, but multiple countries around the world, when they get in economic woes, as multiple countries are, that's usually about time you see a world war. And we're at that time. We're at that time regardless of how you want to look at it, whether you want to go by the cycles, whether you want to go by, the economic situation or anything else. Yeah, we're at that time. Okay, I'm going to shift gears here. I've got a few headlines to cover on the craziness about mandates here. So as you see, thousands protest over Europe's first mandatory vaccine plan. This is in Austria. So you've got that going on in Austria. If that isn't enough, thousands protest against tougher COVID rules in France. So you've got a lot of protesting going on in multiple nations. And I know that I remember seeing a headline that came in about the yellow vests were protesting or something. I think that was in London. You've got a lot of protesting, a lot of unrest that's going on right now around the world, involving these different mandates and rules and whatnot. And I'm telling you, I think it's going to sneak up on the U.S. I really do. I think it's not going to be very long, and I think there are going to be other things imposed, because you have to understand the Biden administration is getting increasingly pissed off because they're not able to really get anywhere. Obviously, they were able to keep the mandate on healthcare workers, but they lost the battle when it came to employers with over 100 employees. Now, Biden advised companies to go against the Supreme Court ruling and do so anyway. This is really a crazy situation. It really truly is. And I think that any employer that continues with the mandate after it was ruled unconstitutional, yeah, I think that says a lot for that employer. Not good, but it says a lot for them. Because look, it's a personal choice, period. I'm not going to sit here and encourage you to get it. I'm not going to encourage you not to get it. It's your choice. Your medical, decisions are none of my business. And I'm here to do news. I'm not here to try to give you medical advice or anything like that. That's for you to do. That's the discussions you need to have with your medical professional and do what's best for you. But I am absolutely against the mandates, 100% against the mandates. I think this is an individual decision that each one of us needs to make. Let's see. And here, in Greece, seniors to be fined for violating vaccine mandate. It says here the Greek Prime Minister has made a final appeal to the country's senior citizens to get inoculated before monthly punishments for violating the country's vaccination mandate kicks in a week, next week. Sorry, I'll get it right. Our fellow citizens who are over 60 and still unvaccinated, I encourage them today take this step, Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, I don't know, said during a visit to a health center on Megara near Athens on Saturday. Protect your life and the lives of those you love, and understand the vaccine is safe and saves lives. I'm just reading the quotes. Don't kill the messenger. Citizens aged over 60 will be fined €50, that's roughly $57, from Monday, and €100, roughly $114, each month from February unless they get vaccinated. All proceeds will go to the country's health system, Greek media said. Those with COVID recovery certificates and proven medical exemptions will not be subject to the fines. People vaccinated abroad will be able to register their vaccination to a government website. And while we're on this topic, a friend of ours, I had mentioned that she had contracted the vid, and the last I knew, she was supposed to get out of the hospital today. So I appreciate those that prayed for her, and I had inquired about her daughter and grandson, and they seem to be on the mend as well. So again, I thank you for those that felt compelled to say a few words, and so hopefully she made it home. I hadn't heard back from her since earlier today, but I'm assuming that they eventually got her squared away, her paperwork and the equipment she needed. I'm thinking, I hope they got her squared away, but anyway, I appreciate that. This, like I say, this whole situation is just, screwed up. It truly is. It truly, truly is. Let me have a sip of coffee here. I do actually, before we get going here, I do want to read what's going on with this real quick. So this was the breaking news I told you about. It says British counterterrorism police arrest 2 people over Texas synagogue attack. I'm sure you are aware about what happened at the synagogue in Texas. It was initially thought that and I'm going to call him a terrorist. I have no problem doing that. That the terrorist was the sister of a lady that's in prison. I can't remember her name. And that's apparently not true. It was not his sister. Now, he claimed to be her brother, but apparently it turns out that he was not her brother. So anyway, it says here, police in northwestern England announced the arrest of 2 teenagers over a possible link to the Saturday incident in Colleyville, Texas, that saw a British man taking people hostage in a synagogue. Greater Manchester Police announced on Sunday evening that the 2 teenagers had been arrested in South Manchester in relation to the incident and remain in custody for questioning. The statement concluded that UK authorities would continue to assist their US counterparts in the investigation of the Saturday incident. Says 44-year-old British citizen Malik Faisal Akram was identified on Sunday as the suspect who was shot dead during a rescue of 4 hostages taken captive in Colleyville, Texas, congregation Beth Israel Synagogue. None of the hostages, one of whom had earlier been released by the suspect, were hurt. Let's see. And it goes on. That's her name there, but I can't pronounce it. During the incident, Akram allegedly made the reference to Aifa Siddiqui, a Pakistani neuroscientist currently serving an 86-year prison sentence in the U.S. for attempting to murder U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. While the suspect reportedly referred to the woman as his sister, Siddiqui's biological brother denied connection to the incident through his lawyer. An attorney for Siddiqui herself claimed that the woman condemned the attack as well. And I want to say this, too. I was watching the live video as it was coming into one of the streaming news channels on a Roku TV. And there were individuals from a nearby mosque that actually that came out there, and they condemned. I mean, they didn't bat an eye at condemning what was going on. Apparently, the rabbi that was taken hostage is well interlaced with the different faiths in the area, and that they've attended events together and all that stuff. So it was good to see that. It was really good to see that. And I think that was a really, really positive, bold move for them to do. They were, you could tell, they were concerned for the rabbi. And so my hat's off to those individuals for stepping forward and speaking, condemning the acts. I find this crazy that it was teenagers, 2 teenagers that they arrested. So I'm sure more information will come out as to their involvement in the situation. We'll see. But this was crazy. And I will make another note. I can't remember where it was. It might have been in the comments of the original headline that I shared out or something like that. But somebody had made a comment that that they could tell the accent from their words, that they could tell the accent from a mile away, and that it was a British Pakistani accent. And they were spot on. I mean, you don't get any more spot on than that. I was impressed, but apparently they were very familiar with the accent and called it. I mean, perfect. So, let's see. Another obligatory sip of coffee. Oh yeah, and a couple of vapes. We're on the home stretch. We're doing headlines. Yumzers. Still vaping the cherry blow pop. Good stuff. Harris sends Americans struggling to get COVID tests to Google. That kind of sounds like something she'd do. That would be after the cackling. She'd be cackle, tell you to go to Google, and then cackle some more. Pentagon thought North Korean... This is Friday's news, by the way. Pentagon thought North Korean missile was headed for the U.S., says media. Let's see. Leave Ukraine out of Nord Stream 2 decision, says Berlin. Russia-NATO relations at critical level, Moscow warns. Helicopters, drones, and 100 people search for a missing dog. That was, I guess, in Australia. Brisbane. Apparently, police dog. Let's see. This headline, which I probably should have included earlier. U.S. will act decisively if Russia deploys military to Cuba or Venezuela, says the White House. When I was putting up headlines to go over and talk with you about, I quit because I had a slew of them up there already, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. But believe me, there's a lot I could have put up. New York Times stirs up readers with story about pig heart recipients' criminal past. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I'm surprised, and I'm sure somewhere, if you dig, there's going to be controversy over the fact that it was a pig heart that they put in a human. But, hey, I don't know where that would fit when it comes to faith, especially for those that follow the Torah. I'm sure that there would be problems there, I think. But for those that don't follow that path, if they can save human lives that way, yeah, I'm not gonna diss on that. I mean, come on. Tesla move causes meme-inspired cryptocurrency to surge. Again, this is Friday's news. Afghan suspected of raping and murdering 13-year-old to be moved from the UK to Austria. Ukraine hit by huge cyber attack. I mentioned that earlier. Again, this is Friday's news. Cops faked forensic reports to coerce confessions. This apparently happened in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Non-whites given preferential access to rare COVID treatment, says a lawsuit. Dangers of COVID-19 during pregnancy revealed. Jack Dorsey reveals Bitcoin mining plan. U.S. DOJ accessed Oath Keepers' encrypted messages in January 6th investigation. I've said this a million times, folks. Please take it to heart. Don't trust any encryption that you have access to. Now, it's going to keep the average Joe out, obviously. But there is not a single encryption that you and I are going to readily have access to that the government can't crack. So don't fall for that. In fact, I suspect that many of it's honeypots. Don't trust that, The only way you can trust an encryption is if the only people that have that encryption, is the individuals exchanging messages. But if it's some app that you can download from the Google Play Store or the Apple whatever store, believe me, they can decrypt it in the blink of an eye. So don't trust that stuff, please. Scientists explain significance of newly discovered space signals. Scientists announced discovery on very rare planet, and I believe it was oxygen, actually, but they found water vapor and other stuff too on it. So I'm booking a trip. No, I'm kidding. Let's see, worst stock drop yet for Europe's electricity giant. King retires coach over slavery links. And at first I had to think, what are we talking about? They're talking about the coach, that carries people or whatever. Anyway, yeah, politically correct, yo. It's crazy. I mean, it's nuts. CIA-trained special ops could fight Russians in case of Ukrainian invasion, says a report. That's what I was talking about earlier. This, that wasn't news that was secret at this time. Londoners warned against outdoor activity. Yeah, you might, become healthy or get some good vitamin D from the sun. We wouldn't want any of that, would we? Poorer nations reject millions of expiring COVID vaccine doses, says the UN. Beijing says UK watched too many 007 movies amid spy row. U.S. proved oil reserves diminished by a fifth. Crypto-skeptical country eyes state-run NFT industry. Police upset over the color of COVID masks. They were pink. Nirvana cover baby relaunches child porn lawsuit. This dude needs to give up. He done squandered his money and all that. He needs to give up. Assets of the world's largest investment manager hit record $10 trillion. Defector claims Poland killed refugees on Belarus border. I'm still on Friday's news. This I thought was funny. Drones sprinkle holy water on crowds to protect from COVID. There's actually a brand name of a drone called Holy Stone. And I actually, Ken Heron, he's got a YouTube channel about drones. Hilarious guy. I actually emailed him with the link to this story and made that joke in the email. U.S.-China step-up race for rare earth dominance. Presidential candidate makes free hair loss treatment his campaign pledge. Russia busts I guess it's R-Evil hacker ring after tip from the U.S. Oh, it's snowing out there. Hang on. I don't know. Yeah, you can make it out. It's snowing. I call it snoo. Blue likes it when I call it snoo. Okay, maybe she hates it. I don't know. I do it anyway. York consular demands Prince Andrew be stripped of city title after HRH loss. Brussels washes hands of ghost flights. Now, we reported about how these airlines were making empty flights to these locations in Brussels because, I think it was in Brussels, because if they didn't continue to make the flights, they would lose landing rights. And it was ridiculous that they were wasting, copious amounts of fuel and time and everything else, tons of money being wasted just so they could go land at an airport to say, okay, we were here, we get to continue landing here. That's ridiculous. Apparently that's been dealt with. Moscow losing patience with the West, says Lavrov. Again, Friday's news. China claims to know true motive behind UK ban on Huawei. Probably the U.S. Johnson eyes Downing Street overhaul to avert political death, says the media. Senior prosecutor, praised by Kamala Harris, is indicted on federal charges. How do you like them apples, right? And get this, because I believe Kamala was pretty much accused of doing the same thing. It says on Thursday, Marilyn Mosby, the state's attorney for Baltimore, go figure, was indicted for perjury and falsifying documents at a time she alleged she was struggling financially due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Right? This is nuts. Says down here, according to the indictment, Mosby exploited the CARES Act provision, allowing an individual to borrow from their retirement account if they were laid off, furloughed, obliged to work, reduced hours, or facing financial hardships for some other pandemic-related reason. Isn't that amazing? I think it's amazing. Not really. Dutch restaurants rebel against COVID rules. Russia orders snap inspection of troops' readiness for rapid deployment. Russia fabricating a pretext for invasion of Ukraine, says the White House. Okay, here it is. I wasn't sure what day it was that this came out. Facebook faces $3 billion legal action over dominance. Joe Rogan is a menace to public health, doctors claim in a letter to Spotify. I'm sure you probably heard that news already. A spike in proportion of UK babies in the hospital with Omicron. Bayern Munich star faces layoff over heart issue. Yet another one with heart issues now. So many of these guys with heart issues. I just can't figure it out. Russia reveals when it expects Western response to security proposals. U.S. claims Russia preparing false flag in Ukraine. Again, this is Friday's news. Let's see. Kazakh minister not welcome at rocket launches, says the Roscosmos chief. Senior Navalny allies added to Russia's terrorist and extremist list. Russia responds to U.S. false flag claims. Again, this is all Friday. NATO reacts to massive cyber attack on Ukraine. Restaurants to stay closed as Dutch relax COVID restrictions. Biden administration tells state to mask up kids or forfeit COVID relief. This is in Arizona, I do believe. Republican senator introduces the Fauci Act. I thought it was, this is genius. I can't remember, hang on. It is the Financial Accountability for Uniquely Compensated Individuals, the Fauci Act. I think it's genius. Farmer Brothers CEO ordered to pay $64 million and barred from the industry. That's good news, if you remember all that nightmare going on. America's national symbol under threat from poisoning. A rare condition listed as possible side effect of COVID-19 shots. A head of Russia-led bloc reveals details of Kazakhstan mission. U.S. government clears the way for spy gear sale to France. Snoo. Lots of snoo. It's not going to last long. U.S. pleased with Russian arrest of ransomware hackers. Supreme Court to hear case of coach fired for praying. Country bans unvaccinated from offices. That's in Singapore. Obama advisor pleads guilty to stealing from school. No way. Never. Okay, now we're to yesterday's news, and that deserves a drink of coffee. Or 2 drinks, because I can never just take one. And a little cherry blow pop. I have to have these things to function. Okay. FedEx asked FAA permission to add anti-missile system to cargo planes. Yeah, you heard that right. FedEx wants anti-missile technology, lasers to be precise, on their aircraft. Now, I don't know if you realize, maybe FedEx probably isn't the ones to have that. I mean, you know, Pinball Preparedness did a video, I don't know, yesterday, day before, something about that, talking about FedEx packages and how they keep screwing it up. So, yeah, I don't know about giving them anti-missile defense on their planes. I don't know about that. TV provider drops Trump's favorite channel, OAN, that is. DirecTV is the platform that dropped it. Massive blaze sweeps through chemical plant in New Jersey. Again, this is yesterday's news. Study reveals first recorded animal hybrids. Most detailed 3D map of the universe is released. Germany has lost its economic freedom, says Russia. Oil pushes past $86 a barrel as greenback wilts. Johnson's plan to dodge resignation uncovered by the media. Putin would eat Zelensky for breakfast in talks, says former Ukrainian PM. Forgetting is form of learning, says a study. Okay. Russia makes vaccine passport policy change. First non-binary Winter Olympics star makes figure skating hero afraid. U.S. seeking ways to profit should Russia-Ukraine conflict break out, says reports. Well, of course, they're going to profit because, hey, the military-industrial complex show, they always profit from war. Let's see. U.S. to train Ukrainian insurgents in the EU, says media. Town goes dark amid massive bug infestation. This happened in Argentina. Gazprom takes EU state to court. DNA test to be added to COVID screening. And I'm going to repeat that headline. DNA test to be added to COVID screening. Now this is in Poland, but you better bet that if it isn't already happening, which probably is, it will happen here. Children's charity stops using typeface designed by pedophile. Astonishing volcanic eruption seen from space triggers U.S. tsunami warning. That was pretty amazing. That volcano going off, the shock wave. Wow, that's crazy. Over 35 million U.S. families face financial hit. I would say it's probably a lot more than 35 million. Fan medical emergency hits football match again. Death toll in Kazakhstan unrest announced. It was 225 people, including the 19 officers, passed in that. And, hang on. More than 4,500 others were reportedly injured. Japan issues tsunami warning after major volcanic eruption. Again, this is yesterday's news. Confusion as cardiac problem sidelines top footballer. I'll tell you what, the more this happens, the less confused I am. YouTuber and Joe Rogan feud deletes interviews with Jordan Peterson. U.S. citizens detained in Moscow over child sexual abuse accusations, says reports. Wild animal cafes face government ban. This is in South Korea. Locals fed up with censorship are glad to rename village. You know, the village of fuck. I can't help it. It's Fucke. I mean, I wouldn't be bothered to live there. Well, where do you live? Well, yeah, I'm not gonna keep saying it, but it would be funny, at least for a minute or two. Looters stealing Amazon UPS packages meant to go across the country. Yeah, and I'm sure you probably heard about this. They're stealing them right off the trains. I mean, this is insane what is going on, and folks, it's only going to get worse, you know. And I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to be that guy. But things are not on an uptrend, and I don't believe they're going to be on an uptrend, not for a while. And when I say a while, I'm telling you, don't hold your breath. You know, I really do think that we are looking at military conflict in our near future. We already know the economic woes that we're in, the supply chain issues, you know, and as I stated the other day, you know, there's channels out there that are, in the video I put out, I mentioned, you know, there's channels out there fear-mongering about the Chinese ports shutting down. Well, that's normal. At this time, they're about ready to go on holiday, if you will. I don't know exactly what it is. I guess it's the Chinese New Year. But so they are off for a month, right? They take a month vacation, if you will. And so it's a well-known thing if you're somebody that, you know, imports things from China that, you know, you either do it now or you got to wait. And, you know, that's one thing. But we're already supposedly stressed when it comes to our supplies here. And so if we're already low on supplies and they can't stock up like they normally do because, again, anticipating their vacation, if you will, then where's that going to put us? So keep that in mind. Things might get especially iffy come next month and the month after, because like I said, you know, we're already stressed, and then with them shutting down for a month, that's going to make the situation even worse. So keep that in mind. Marines okay first religious exemptions for COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the Marines, from my understanding, are the only ones that's even started giving exemptions. From my understanding, none of the other branches of the U.S. military has given a single religious exemption. So we'll see how that turns out. Iran and Saudi Arabia to reestablish diplomatic ties, a lawmaker says. Brit who got stuck in Kabul flies to Kazakhstan to be a little goofy. Now, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Lord Miles Rutledge, if that's how you pronounce his name, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were involved in that horrid thing that they called a pullout in Afghanistan, this guy thought it was a good idea to go check out how things were in Kabul, and wound up in a bit of an issue. He couldn't get out, and so I think it was more or less private individuals that made sure he got squared away and got out, if I'm not mistaken. Now I do think it involved maybe a military plane, but from my understanding, it was private individuals that stepped up and made it happen. Now he wants to fly to Kazakhstan. I don't get it. There ain't nothing. There ain't nothing that makes that stuff worth it. And if he keeps it up, one of these days he's not going to get out. Some COVID patients still infectious after more than 2 months, a study warns. Tsunami waves from Tonga arrive in California. Again, this is yesterday's news. Hostage situation at Texas Synagogue, SWAT deployed. Woman dies after being pushed onto subway tracks in Times Square. Covered that in that video. Ukraine names alleged perpetrator of massive cyber attack. And again, this isn't the same as what I told you earlier. This was when they were accusing Belarus of doing it. Now they're apparently accusing Russia of doing it. Texas synagogue suspect linked to Lady Al-Qaeda, and as you know, that turned out not to be true. Let's see. We covered that one, and we covered that one, and we covered that one. Let's see. New U.S. governor rescinds mask and vaccine mandate in first order. This was in Virginia. Now we're to today's news. Hey, that's a sip of coffee. I am good with that. Ooh, we've actually got stickage. The road's white. I don't know how much you can make out on that, but it's actually stuck to the road. Yay! Hey, it don't bother me as long as I'm warm inside. Suspect dead after FBI stormed Texas synagogue, freeing hostages. We talked about that earlier. Democrat group hides comments accusing Nike of slave labor after praising the company. No, they wouldn't do something like that. Covered that. Apple changes its monopolistic payment policies. Twitter blocks account over video threat to Trump. Covered that. Russia considers kicking out rowdy foreigners. Turkey striving for rapid de-dollarization. Let's see. Kremlin tells CNN about possibility of weapons deployment to Ukraine. I don't think I had that headline up. Magnitude 6.1 earthquake hits I can't say it, New Guinea. Papua New Guinea, I think. Israel hit by massive flooding. German politician compares anti-Russian sanctions to an atomic bomb, if I can spit it out. BBC license fee to be scrapped. Tesla reducing dependence on China with graphite deal. Biden turning U.S. into large-scale version of Venezuela, Trump claims. I saw a meme, actually, this weekend. It said Bidenzuela. Covered that. Biden calls Texas synagogue attack an act of terror. Once in a while he says something I agree with. Ukraine changes its mind on culprit behind cyber attack. That's what I told you about earlier. They now claim Russia. Let's see. Microsoft launches inclusivity checker. So I guess when you're using like Word products and stuff like that, they will let you know if you're being inclusive or not. Turn that puppy off. FBI identifies Texas synagogue hostage taker. Gorbachev faces lawsuit over killings. Covered that. New poll shows how frustrated Americans are with Biden 1 year in. Let's see. Brave night blocks major international waterway. You know, that's the insane thing. Sorry, but we got to back up there. That's the insane thing. It's only been a year. It's only been a year. Can you even... I mean, that don't even... It seems like it's been so much longer. And I'm honestly afraid to death of the next 3 years with him at the helm and his administration. I'm truly concerned. I'm not saying that jokingly or anything like that. I'm seriously concerned. Brave Knight blocks major international waterway. No, it wasn't some dude in a big metal outfit or nothing like that. That's the name of the ship. It broke down. Kremlin identifies red... Oh, I covered that. Covered that. Oops. Covered that. And we discussed that. And this was the other one, the last one that came out that I put out. Police meme about beating dirty hippies sparks an investigation. This is apparently in Portland. So, anyway, that looks like it's the headlines. I am going to scurry on out of here. Probably warm me up a little bit of spaghetti for a late dinner. And, God willing, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll do this nonsense all over again. So, I appreciate everybody coming. And I hope to see you tomorrow night. Hope you all have a good evening. And as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.